Hi, this is the Hotbox, telling you that this video might have some sensitive stuff in it, so take a second if you need to and go check out something else. Otherwise, please enjoy the show. This channel is sponsored by ExpressVPN. They'll hide your data better than my dad hid from child support.
Everything's fine cause the merch in the store is hot, it's burning, it's trending, I'm buying. Everything's fine cause the merch in the store. I miss that outside where somebody can save me. What you gonna do with all that stuff? You can wear it or burn it or give it to your dog. Everything is fine cause the merch in the store is hot, it's burning, it's trending, I'm buying.
It's me. Hotbox, where have you been? Suffering. That's where I've been.
Suffering?
But while I was busy stuffing the pain from the other project, I had something else that I was keeping my eye on in the background. I've waited over 2 weeks to cover this. Why? Because I like being patient. I like to see if more information develops in a situation. But the person involved has remained so silent to the point that they've had to have someone else be their mouthpiece. I am of course talking about David Dobrik. Everyone knows David, right? You know, the Diet Jake Paul. David built a reputation around positivity and good vibes, doing sketch comedy that was popular in many people who were transitioning from Vine to YouTube. But to anyone who takes a look behind the scenes, David's reputation is anything but squeaky clean. And now the stains multiply as accusations are brought against him by his friend Seth of David coercing, tricking, and misusing his friends for a long time now. So let's buckle up, you and me. Let's remember our safe words that I'll throw up on the screen. And let's talk about David Dobrik and how he can't keep getting away with it. Welcome back to the channel, new and returning, young and old, fans, haters, and everyone in between. If you are new here, why not subscribe? It's quick, it's easy, it just takes a second, and you can always undo it, but it really does help out a lot, so thank you. And I want to make this clear, this isn't a hate video. I'm not telling you to take your fine-looking self over to David Dobrik's comments and rain on his parade. That's my job. But my job is also to bring you the evidence that has been given to us so far, so that you can form an opinion on it, and maybe give my 2 cents along the way. Really, at this point, I want someone to take responsibility. That's what this boils down to. This isn't about cancel culture, which is, you know, toxic. No, commentary is about people wanting other people to be better, and that's what we're going for here. So what does this all center around? Well, David is the founder of something called the Vlog Squad. It's a collection of YouTubers all making content together. Look familiar? As you can see, David has plenty of friends, and they like to have fun together. They like to do pranks, but it's these pranks that these allegations stem from in the first place, since David used the cover of one of these pranks to make his heterosexual male friend Seth kiss another man under the guise that he was kissing a different girl. And let my big goofy gender fluid ass tell you really quick, the issue is not boys kissing boys. The issue is thinking that violating consent is a prank. Anyone with 2 brain cells might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound like a prank. It isn't! It's using a Hollywood-style production to force someone into doing something that they don't want to do. Oh, David, your phone's ringing. I think it's the Me Too movement. But unfortunately, at the time of David's popularity, this was the kind of content that was popular on YouTube. Viral pranks, quote-unquote, that more often than not, took advantage of a person in a compromising situation. Oh, but David wouldn't do that. He's a sensible, good boy, born in Slovakia, moved to Chicago where he grew up in a gorgeous and diverse environment. Oh. He grew up in a gorgeous environment that instilled in him many cultural sensitivities. You can't keep getting away with it! He's had problems from the start. And David has said before that he regrets his past. But if an apology for this is so important to him, you think he would address it in a more open way on his main channel, rather than on his podcast. But I digress. Because it's not people from his hometown speaking up about him, it's several people. Trisha Paytas and his friends Nick and Seth. Now keep in mind, me discussing a person's experience does not automatically co-sign anything that they've done in the past. but I do think it's important when people speak up about their experiences with individuals, especially at a sensitive time like this. Trisha went on the Frenemies podcast to discuss her experiences with David and Jason Nash, who she formerly dated.
Tana's 18, and he like tried to kiss her, and Tana's like, I didn't want it. Why did you do it? The cameras weren't on. And everyone's like, well, she was legal, she was an adult, but she's clearly saying she was uncomfortable, didn't want it. He's 44, she's 18.
That's disgusting.
She just recently went on a date. They were in a dressing room. I don't know why they were in a dressing room together, but Jason was getting changed, and Jason thought that there was a spark in the air.
Why would she come in the dressing room with me?
It was not being dressing room. We were doing
Tana, why would you come into a dressing room?
And then this is the best part. Jason leans in for a kiss.
You're not giving all the information.
Oh yeah, you're
to
right.
Your
You're right.
viewers.
Tana's 19 years old.
You know I'm like taken though, right?
Sure, whatever. But would you ever with Jason and Trisha?
Make the joke he did. I don't want to have a Tana.
Guys, chill. This is the stupidest fight ever. She doesn't like Tana jokes. Drop it.
So did you actually get mad in this moment, or is this just part of the gag?
Oh my God, we had so many fights over this.
So give me some insight.
Actual thing where we told him like this is not funny, like, and they didn't make it for a while.
You
Like,
said
that's
do
when
not
he started-
include this.
So he did this for months, and this is like the final time when we really blew up, and I'm like, don't do those jokes. He stopped until he needed to get me out of the vlog squad. So this is my thing. He tried to start kicking me out of the vlog squad. We're not filming with Trish. I would go over, and he's like, Trish, you stay in the car. Like, he used to film with me every single day, and I get it. Okay, fine, distance yourself from me. Like, whatever. I'm problematic. But what was so crazy is he knew this week before my blow up, that's when he started doing the Tana. He invited Tana over to the house to have sex with Tana. He released footage that Jason never wanted in the vlog, where Jason said privately to him at like a party, if you can get Tana to have sex with me, like I'll buy you a Ferrari, because that was like David's dream car.
Get Tana to have a three-way with me and Trisha. I'll buy you a Ferrari. I'll do it. You can't run to Trisha with this piece of video and be like, Jason said.
So both you and Jason are saying, David, don't put this in the vlog.
Yeah.
And he does.
I still remember it was like 2 a.m. He calls Jason, like, can I put this? And I'm like, no. And then Jason's like, no, don't. And then he did. And then he did it again a second time that week. And I lost my...
Ugh. There is so much to break down there. First of all, is anyone else creeped out by the way that Jason kind of shifts the blame? Even if it's a joke, why would you come into the dressing room with me?
Why would she come in the dressing room with me?
It was not being dressing room. We were doing
Tana, why would you?
No matter what your feelings on Trisha Paytas are, so many of these interactions, once viewed through the lens of her experiences, show how murky and disgusting these things are. David, your sense of humor, quote unquote, is so twisted. Like you're laughing about bargaining a three-way for a Ferrari. I'm sorry. What in the privilege? How do you think this is reasonable? David, your behavior is disgusting here. This shows a total lack of respect and consideration for the lives and consent of the people around you, all because the camera's on. Like, newsflash, just because you click record doesn't mean you can play God. I also want people to remember that Trisha is an SA survivor. I doubt she's trying to make this about her at the moment. This is about awareness, at least in my opinion. We then go on to Nick and Seth, who went on H3 After Dark.
I was allowing, and I did allow it, and that's partially my fault, David, to like disrespect me in the videos. And so then everybody else just got the notion like, oh, okay, like, you know, we can disrespect Big Nick too. Like, it's because our master does it. You know, that was kind of like the whole vibe. And it just felt like a huge cult of just bad energy. And I didn't want any part of it.
Finally, I can make fun of something that you weren't born with. Oh my God, I don't know why this is so adorable. Why have we never thought of this before?
It's cute. Look at that. I can do that off day. Come on back. I want to
The thing is like, I'm not really sober right now, so I felt like I was flying. Yeah.
Cards have disappeared. Do you believe it?
No.
You don't believe it?
No.
Alright, check them out. Have a look. Have a look. Open your hands.
Now make him taller. He goes boom.
It also got to a point where people would recognize me in public, and then they would make jokes like about me, and I'm like, dude, like, I don't know you. This is weird, you know? So
Like what kind of jokes? Like
just like
mean?
making fun of my height and stuff, and just because David did it, and
It seems like your time in the vlog squad, they made you the butt of the joke a lot.
told him like, dude, I don't want to make these jokes anymore. And he was just like, okay, like, that's fine. Like, he was chill about it, whatever. And I knew by saying that I wasn't going to be in the content anymore. It's like, all right, like, I respect that, bro. And then that was that. And it wasn't like,
Oh, that sounds f***ed up. I gotta actually interject. You said, yo, I don't want you to make fun of my height anymore. And he's like, okay, well, there's no point of having you in the vlogs then, right?
that was kind of the
That doesn't seem
message
very...
that I got.
That doesn't
But,
sound
like,
very
he
good
never
to me.
vocally said that, you know what I mean? But that was for sure the vibe.
Nick's experience is basically that David would continually break down Nick behind the scenes. he'd be teased about things that are out of his control, such as the fact that he's affected with dwarfism or his looks. And Nick does a really good job of painting this picture of a cult mentality. Look, no one deserves to become the butt end of jokes just because Haha Funny Man does it on the internet. And we also get to hear a little bit about how David's behavior influences people in real life. It goes to further show how inconsiderate he is, because he has such a big audience that he preaches this picture of, look, it's okay to do this to your friends because they're your friends. That's what friends do. And no, that's never okay. Respect people's bodily autonomy. If you believe that turning a person's insecurities or something out of their control into a game for your entertainment, into a joke, you are malicious at your core. And if you give a platform to that behavior, you are either dense or one of the most disgusting people that I've ever seen. Or both. And then there's Seth, one of the biggest voices in these accusations. This is the man that David pranked by making him kiss another man, not once, but twice, and almost a third time.
David, he's a very convincing person. He was very calm and everything seemed normal. And he was just like, yeah, you know, like, we just have this scene, you know, like I want you to like make out with Corinna. And I was just like, yeah, no, I'm fine with making out with Corinna. Like, that's fine. I don't understand exactly what this bit's for, but I'm just trying to basically just get it over with. And then, you know, during the video, we kind of start the makeout, starts going, and then it's going on for a decent period of time. And then after Jason pulls off his mask, and I realized that, you know, I just was touched by someone that, you know, I did not, you know, consent to.
So to sum that up really quick, David made Seth do a blindfolded makeout under the impression that he was going to be making out with Corinna. But David then has Jason Nash put on an old man mask and baggy clothing to conceal his appearance, and has Seth unwittingly make out with him. You know, it makes me shudder when Seth describes David as someone so charming and endearing, kind of like, oh, I don't know, people who run cults. Now, obviously, I don't think that David is an actual cult leader. He is a lizard person, though. But I do think he fosters a toxic environment that paints itself as squeaky clean to anyone who doesn't care to look too deep. That's how they make their money. But what about from the other side? Well, David has yet to formally address this, but he's talked about it before. For instance, here's him going on a podcast talking about it.
Oh, let's talk about this. What really made me happy. What? Today, we pulled a prank on my friend Seth.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, now you can talk about it.
It's probably the best prank I've ever pulled on anyone, in my opinion. It was, we have this scary mask that we've been pranking people with, and I told Seth, hey man, I want to do this bit. It's like a dream sequence where you make out with the mask guy, and it just looks like you're dreaming and you're making out with an old man, because the mask makes you look like an old man. And I'm like, Corinna's gonna be in it, and Corinna's a girl in my vlogs. He thinks Corinna's really attractive. So
Corinna's kind of like the hot girl in David's vlogs.
Yeah, so he's like, yeah, I'm totally down. And I'm like, yeah, Seth, just don't hold back. You can make out as much as you want. But what Seth didn't know is that I replaced Corinna with Jason. So Jason was under the mask. And everyone in the room's like, this isn't gonna work.
Everyone doubted you, yeah.
Everyone, Brandon, Corinna, like, this isn't gonna work. This is stupid.
Because of the size difference. Because of the size difference. About 6 feet, Corinna's about 5'6".
And then the bit starts going, and Seth is there sitting on the couch. Jason walks in as Corinna. He's not speaking, obviously. Sits next to her. Seth leans in, and as he's leaning in, I'm like, I got it. It's game over. They start making out, and at this point, we're like 5 seconds in, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I wanted. I got what I wanted. I'm out. Like, we can end this. And I'm like, Seth, like, at this point, the poor dude probably has a and he's really making out with Jason, and I'm like, Seth, and I'm trying to get him to stop, but he thinks it's part of the bit, and he keeps going for 25 seconds, literally, I'm not over exaggerating, it's in the vlog, 25 seconds making out with this guy. And I'm like, I think I looked up to the ceiling, and I'm like, God, what did I do to deserve such beauty?
Oh, you can just tell it's tearing him up inside. Oh, but remember how I said he did this twice? This is where it gets even more disgusting. Because this second time, David played it up like an acting gig. He made Seth think that this was a big commercial break, something that Seth needed, by the way, to help pay his living expenses. Seth was in a vulnerable situation. David saw this, David took advantage of it, and then he rips the floor right out from under Seth and says, "It's all a prank, bro." Oh yeah, David, I love those pranks where I manipulate and gaslight my friends. I especially love the other ones where they stick around because I'm rich and levy my uneven power dynamic over them. Those are so wholesome.
So you completely forgot about it. You had no suspicion.
No suspicion at all. Like, the emails were official. Like,
wow.
He made a website, and everything. So it was just like 100%, because he did set it up like as a commercial. And I explained to him like, bro, like this is literally like, I spent like a week like doing all of this, you know, setting all this up. Like he did compensate my time for that video. But
only after you asked him, like, dude, you got to pay.
Only after I told him, like, seriously, like, bro, like, I don't know if I could pay my rent this month because I was relying on one situation to basically help me move into a new place, which is literally what
my God.
Was. And he's arguing with me about giving me the money.
So they offered you $2,500, and then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm not even paying you.
Yeah, and I literally had to grab him, and I was like, bro, like, I can't walk. If I walk out of here and you don't send me that money, I will literally not be able to have a home. So I have to have you, you know, compensate me for this.
That is so shocking.
I was okay with it. It was because I was in a devastated position where, you know, I was in between places to live.
And then there's Scott's video. Scott is another member of the vlog squad who has come forward to essentially speak on David's behalf in the middle of all this. Because, you know, David's too busy launching a multi-million-dollar app, and we can't let investors see any of this now, can we? Now, Scott's video in defense of David displays David sharing some text messages and footage that allegedly show Seth's consent.
Don't call it sharing your truth if you're sharing a lie. Seth accused David and Jason of for a kissing prank that was done in 2017. Text messages and found one of Seth's numbers asking him to do the kissing prank a third time. Seth literally requested to do it a third time.
Guys, this is a text from Seth from about 2 years ago. He goes, yo bro, I was thinking about it. I'm down for another kissing sketch. I said, haha, what do you mean? He goes, lol, I don't really care as long as you clout me up. I'm not gay, just don't care. And then he sends me this.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not really a big deal. I mean, it's the same. Just, I don't know, more open-minded.
I don't know if Seth completely forgot about that or if he just hoped that David would never find it, the way that he hoped that David had a new computer and didn't have the extra 4 hours of footage that surrounded the 4-minute and 20 vlog that included the bit of him consenting to the prank. Very vividly remember when he was editing that clip, there was a clip in there of Seth agreeing and giving his permission to film this bit again. He was like, there's no way you're gonna get it on me again. There's no way you're gonna get me again. So go ahead, go for it.
You're the best. You're the best, David. This motherfucker told me that this was gonna happen again. And I can always respect the man that keeps his word.
You can tell by his reaction at the end of the video that he was pranked, it was all in good fun, and he gave permission beforehand. He gave David props on getting him with that prank a second time.
But this whole video hits some really weird chords with me. For starters, he's providing evidence that's weak at best. These texts are about a third prank, not the first or the second. And you'll notice Seth says he's more open-minded, quote unquote.
I don't know, more open-minded.
Seth stating that he's more open-minded implies him being resistant before. This is a trait that's displayed by many victims of Apple, suppressing the trauma until a later date. It's something that I'm sure any victims who are in the audience right now have experienced, and it is a hideous and repulsive part of this. To any victims or survivors in my audience right now, I want you to know that if no one said it to you yet today, I love you. And I'm proud of you. You are doing incredible, and please do everything that you need to heal. Listen, Scott, you call it props for the second time, right? Now, was that before or after things started? Giving props to someone after it happened isn't consenting beforehand. There's no evidence for the first time, at least that I'm seeing. And like, no matter what you think of the second time, Seth didn't consent to the first one, and that's a crime in the eyes of the law. That's Apple or unwanted touching. California consent, the state that they're in, is affirmative consent. You know what that is, David? That is a clear yes. Do that. I consent. And you have to keep saying yes, because you can always withdraw your consent. It's straightforward, just like that. You know what's not consent? Silence. And if all David's gonna do is speak about it from the past through a podcast, then it doesn't look good for him, at least in my eyes.
And everyone in the room's like, this isn't gonna work.
Everyone doubted you, yeah.
Everyone, Brandon, Corinna, like, this isn't gonna work. This is. Seth leans in, and as he's leaning in, I'm like, I got it. It's game over.
David Dobrik, at worst, violated consent. At best, I say that like there's anything good in this. David Dobrik, at best, promoted content that endorsed actions that violate and manipulate people we call friends, not only to mention people of color like myself. Also, Scott, let me ask you one question.
Who asked?
Scott, it's good to want to stand up for friends, but with the way things look for David right now, it's not a good path. Like, I know I said it's important for people to come forward with their experiences, but nobody right now wants to hear from an insider Andy. We want to hear from David, not his mouthpiece. What I'm scared of is that David's gonna wait this out until it becomes some kind of bigger scandal, and even then he'll have some PR team write up a squeaky clean report so that the only people who suffer the fallout are the people that he lined up to defend him in the first place. And what could be even worse would be these accusations fading into the YouTube black hole, and then we all forget about it within our 24-hour internet attention spans, then go back to posting Among Us memes. And that's what they're counting on. David, look, if you had the time to set up Scott taking the fire for you, why didn't you take the time to get the original footage you mentioned of Seth giving consent? Because otherwise, this just makes you look more and more guilty, like you're cherry-picking evidence. Oh wait, you are, because you cut the footage. Here's the extra bit.
Do I have permission to try to prank you again and get you to make out with Jason?
I'm very confused by that, because how the hell could you be so confident to tell me that I have to consent to something that I'm not gonna know that I'm gonna do?
David Dobrik manipulates evidence? Hey now, that's just a theory.
A game theory!
Here's my view. You don't trick someone into doing anything, especially in a soap way. David, have fun with your multi-million-dollar apps. I'm sure you feel all safe since whatever legal team you hired told you, Apple is a misdemeanor in California, so no jail time for your candy ass. But you know what would suck? A civil case of intentional infliction of emotional distress. Because that's what's happening here, right? What is this other than that? You did an act to humiliate someone on a public platform for clicks. To everyone watching, thank you. Remember consent. You can always say yes, you can always say no. Be safe and be firm in what you believe. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and spread the word around. Regardless of what you believe about David or not, it's always good to get discussion going. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you have a good rest of your day and an even better tomorrow. I love you, and before you say it back, look in the mirror and say it to yourself. And I'll see you in the next episode of whatever I make. And until next time, this has been the Hotbox. Bye! Mwah.